Here comes Mercury retrograde yet once again, and this is an elemental Earth year, so he will be retrograding again in an Earth sign, and this time it is a sign of Virgo. Get ready, August the 23rd through to September the 15th for that retrograde season to begin. Now, we're not going to talk about retrograde in the classic, watch out for your travel plans, your computer will break, or all of that. We're going to talk about it in a much deeper way. And if you really want to know how this may be playing out for you, key words here are Jupiter, luck, and opportunity, because there will be a continual connection between Mercury as he moves through the sign of Virgo for a dog's age. He's going to be, well, will have been going through the sign of Virgo from July the 28th to October the 4th. Whoops! And the retrograde is wedged in the middle of that, August the 23rd. To September the 15th. This is a long stay in one sign, and as Mercury does that, he keeps touching down with Jupiter in a flowing, harmonious Earth trine as Jupiter moves through Taurus. So there's a lot of goodness in this particular retrograde, as well as the whole journey of Mercury in the sign of Virgo. So we're going to touch down on your sign. Use your rising sign for the most accurate, sun and moon secondarily, to understand what this three-part goodness is about. And when I say three-part, there's a reason. So when Mercury is moving in forward direction, he first connected with Jupiter in a flowing, lucky trine energy, good news, good luck, good prosperity, good commerce, whatever, good messages. He first did that August the 10th. And then that second pass in the retrograde time frame is September 4th, and the third will be September 25th as Mercury goes direct again, as he gets ready to leave the sign of Virgo at last. So I want you to keep this August 10th, September 4th, September 25th, three-part story in mind, because usually these are connected elements. You'll recognize these dots can connect. So we're going to talk about that for your sign, listen for your rising, sun and moon secondarily. We're also going to do a bit of a wonderful delineation of how Mercury, as he moves through the sky, does a rephrenation or almost meets up with Uranus and Taurus and then backs off during the retrograde, and how at the end of the day, he will go back and make full contact with Uranus around September 30th. And there's something that's going to try to happen in the sky for each of us, but also for the world, that doesn't fully get liftoff. And we're going to talk about what that looks like. This is like something trying to happen around August the 23rd that finally comes to, whoa, now we see what it's about closer to September 30th. So that's going to be interesting for the world. I think I know what it's about. And lastly, there are some cool asteroids involved. The asteroid Pan, yes, pandemic, panic, Urania, the muse of astronomy. Get ready for more alien disclosures, more UFO stuff, more unidentified aerial phenomena stories, if not panic about them. I don't know. And also the asteroid Albion, which is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting to get a different result, or listening to the rules from on high and just kind of going into autopilot. That asteroid's sitting with Jupiter for most of this month, and there's a lot of that lawgiver, Jupiter leader energy that is kind of going on autopilot for individual countries or us collectively. And some of that's going to be disrupted with Mercury. Now, the stars I might have said, Denebola and Thuban, are also involved. They can be difficult stars to do with poisons or diseases or catastrophes, especially Denebola. We'll be going into that for the world. So let's get started. But if you're new to my channel, my name is Lori Lothian. I'm using the Western Tropical Zodiac. I am using whole sign houses. Please cast your chart in whole sign houses in order to understand what we're doing. Don't start looking at your Placidus chart. It's not what any astrologer on YouTube is doing. When we say listen for your sun sign, moon sign, or rising, we're pretending you're all using whole sign houses, which is a traditional and ancient house system. And also, I love the minor asteroids. So if you're new to my channel and you subscribe, you're going to get a lot of content around not only minor asteroids, every single thing I post, but also fixed signs. And if you're into meditation, you like super chill stuff like getting down with sound baths, hypnosis, ASMR, live coaching calls from people around the world, healing, did I say, spiritual wellness, meditation, mindfulness stuff. Spotify for the soul is how I'm describing it. And it happens to be the Aura app. And I love this app. I've been using this Aura app now since April. And I'm one of their brand ambassadors or affiliates. And just for the month of August, I'm sharing it in all of my videos. You get 25% off and after a 7-day free trial if you continue. If you use my link that's in the description box below for your free trial, then you get that discount if you sign up. No harm, no foul. Try it. Don't like it. Don't have to sign up. It's a free trial, but give it a shot. It really helps me downwind after a long day of seeing clients or making videos for you guys. And so I like to put it on in the car sometimes when I'm driving. No, I don't hypnotize myself while I'm driving, but I do like sound baths and calming music and chirping birds and waterfalls and rivers and stuff like that. So let's get going and talk about this story. I would like you to settle in a bit. It may be one of my longer videos. I'm recording on August 13th. My Patreon community always gets it before you guys ad-free early access, but you'll be getting it eventually. So this is a story that has so many layers. I'm not even sure where to begin. I have to be really honest with you. I would like to start by saying, go back and listen to my Elemental Earth Year 2023 video, for the big things of 23 with Gary Caton, the astrologer friend of mine who is an expert on all things Mercury. And the point of that is that Mercury has not spent 6 out of 12 months, more or less, in the Earth signs, which are Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn, because of retrograde, bound within retrogradations, in which he's moving slowly, turning around, spending a lot of time in these signs. He hasn't done that like long stay in Earth since 2016. It began in 2015, December, and it kind of rounded out by finishing in February of 2017. In other words, there was a lot of Earth going on back then with Mercury, the messenger. And you might want to contextualize events of your life in 2016 that may be coming back up for review in a similar way, depending on what the Earth signs are in your chart, like which houses they're in. The Taurus sign, the section of your chart, the Capricorn section of your chart, the Taurus section of your chart, the Virgo section of your chart. Those are 12 slices of pies in the sky, and they have 3. Okay, the Earth signs, the Earth trigon, or triplicity. Those houses have been really worked on a lot by Mercury for you this year. And obviously it means that if you're Taurus rising, Virgo rising, Capricorn rising, you've been getting a whole lot of attention from Mercury in this particular elemental Earth year. Now, second of all, and I'll put the link to the Gary Caton interview in my description box for you. The next thing I'd like to mention here is this idea of looking at the sky like it's telling you a story. So I'm going to show you the chart and we're going to move the sky through the storyline, but we're not going to do it the same way for the all signs. This is where I want to show you what could be happening in the collective sphere, just a few ideas around what this particular Mercury transit retrograde, but also Mercury just in Virgo may be showing us, what it may be trying to point to in some fundamental way for the entirety of the world. And, you can't break it down per country. It would take forever. I tend to focus on the United States of America. I am Canadian. I live there, and I can't do every single country, but I will be mentioning a few things about America as well. So let me show you the picture of the sky and we'll get started. Now, this is what the sky looks like, and it is right there. Aha. And you can see that I positioned the chart on August the 23rd to point to the path of Mercury stationing in order to go retrograde. And as he stations to go retrograde, he's still co-present with Mars, but Mars will be leaving there shortly. And therefore, Mars is just a temporary influence. Mercury, though, turning around at 21 degrees of Virgo and looking over here at 23 degrees to Uranus, and technically they're almost only a little bit more than a degree apart, means that Mercury does not have a conversation exactly static on the line with Uranus. They're connecting, but not quite. It's almost, but not quite. You know what I mean? And so that can suggest that there's something that Mercury wants to do, to say, some information he wants to spill, some kind of news he wants to break that's got some shock and awe or some invention, outside the box and stuff that needs to break into the news cycle. And technically Uranus is very often connected to the alien UFO type phenomena anyway. So I'm just going to bring that up because you can see a few little details that the devil is in here. Now, this little asteroid sitting with Jupiter is Albion. Jupiter can represent king, leaders, and governing bodies and lawmakers and legislators, and Jupiter is with the on high Albion. It says doing things in a rote manner, following the rules just because they are there. I'm not questioning the status quo in the way rules are put down from, on the legislative front or from leaders. So there's kind of like a autopilot quality to this particular Albion asteroid, which represents a hill where giants once lived in England, and Jupiter. Right. And so Jupiter is always sitting with this asteroid more or less during the entirety of the retrograde. And so we're going to talk about the August 10th, September 4th, and September 25th, Jupiter trine goodness. Mercury in your sky during the retrograde, all signs. But for the world, just remember, what does it mean when there's this Albion energy here? And Uranus will try to break through, break free, and break away from any kind of status quo, the way it's always been done, unquestioned authority, following the rules without questioning them. Uranus is like, well, we're just not going to do that. We're rebelling here. We're not having any of that. And over here, we see this reformation. So in other words, Mercury gets close, but not quite. So watch me go forward here. And by the way, I didn't draw the star in, but Mercury is sitting on a particular star on the 23rd as he stations to go retrograde, and that is Denebola, Denebola. It has to do with catastrophes in mundane astrology, meaning that when the star is activated by a planet, it can mean some kind of major disruptive event or catastrophe. Second of all, it can also be about illness, especially in conjunction with Mercury. Loss of life through illness or disease is a classic interpretation of Mercury Denebola connections in someone's natal chart, and this is for the world. So here we have a star Denebola that has it also has to do with the tail of the lion. It's in the Leo constellation. And the tail, think about a tail of any animal. You don't want to get behind an animal and pull its tail if it's going to bite you, right? A lion. So there's just something about that lion's tail that's pretty evocative to me about what's going on here. So the lion's tail is being activated by Mercury, and it looks back over here at this energy of Uranus, but not quite close, but not quite. So I'm going to say this is something that's trying to break through the news stories, the news cycles or information cycles that's not getting the exact full traction or attention it deserves. You'll probably be able to go back September 30th, around that time, give or take a couple of days on either side, when there's an actual real connection between Mercury and Uranus. Finally, Mercury breaks all the way through to the 23rd degree, and there is a connection. And that means that news story will break. But you'll be able to go back. Trust me, you'll be able to go back and look at what was almost breaking in the news. Maybe it would be like alt news, but not mainstream news. That information or stuff was shocking and was coming out around August 23rd, but you won't really hear about it everywhere until around October the 1st or the last day of September. Okay, keep that in mind. I said it here first. I need someone to almost edit me and take these bits and pieces of stuff I say, because I get told, you told me this, you were right, and I don't ever remember what I say. All right, so just saying. So that's the number one story. Okay, the Denebola story, the star, the retrograde, refraining from contact with, refraining from contact, close but not quite, moving forward day by day. This is where you settle in before the all signs, get your cup of tea. I'm going to go story time with you guys, right? I'm telling you stories. That's what I'm doing. So we're going to go back because Mercury, I want to show you Mercury was direct, you see, on the 22nd, stations retrograde on the 23rd, doesn't really get much contact, but tries to contact this Uranus, but it's talking to nobody else directly. Okay. And I left the planets that were irrelevant out of the picture. I mean, because Venus is an aversion, for instance, from Leo to Mercury. So I'm just keeping those people out of the narrative. Mercury's in his home kingdom, exalted in Virgo. He's very strong here. He has a lot of essential dignity. He has a lot of strength. Okay. Keep that in mind. He's in his kingdom. He's the one bossing Mars around up here. Okay. And as we could progress the days forward, I'm now on August the 25th. I want to show you that tailing right behind him and now conjuncting him, or he's moving towards Athena. Athena's moving towards him. She's knowledge and information, sometimes strategic strategies type movements. She's very lawyerly sometimes, also very much like a librarian. Well, Mercury Athena can be some kind of big energy around dispensation of information, knowledge, or wisdom coming into the world news style, right? News cycle style. And that will be around August the 25th. But what could it possibly be about? That is the question. Well, there's a lot of things it could be about. At this point, I can't tell you what. I really don't know, honestly. So we'll just keep going. It could just be investigation into something, and we're hearing about more investigations into stuff, like they've had tribunals, so to speak, in Australia with Pfizer, or the United States with Michelle Walensky and the WHO. That can be happening here. Some of that is quite possible because Virgo is a sign that rules medicine and health. Okay, themes of health. Then Virgo, then Mercury leaves Virgo, right? Oh, I'm out of here on being Libra for 6 weeks, August 27th. And he has nothing to do with the story that Mercury's in charge of. We call that an inversion. He's off duty. So you can sort of say with Mars with Mercury co-present from the 23rd to the 27th, Mars is the ruler of fires. And combat and explosions and war. So we may have some news stories breaking before, let's say the 23rd to the 27th around war. And if there's going to be any kind of shock about it, let's go with Taiwan, China. That's the only thing that can surprise anyone anymore, really. So Taiwan, China stories could be coming into the news cycle. You just never know. And the other thing I'd say is that it's possible that this could also be some pending stories about world leaders that are quite shocking. And there may be some kind of upset here to do with disease or illness in a well-known world leader, as Mars is activating aggressive energy, that difficult energy with Mercury. And don't forget, Denebola can bring a relationship to the word disease or illness. And I'm only saying world leader because of Jupiter, Uranus over here, right? Shock about a world leader, basically. I keep saying poor Joe Biden. He seems to be, I'm Canadian, I'm not political, but he seems to be not quite with it, to say the very, very least. And right now, Joe Biden's moon is going to receive an eclipse, if I remember correctly, this October, and it's in the house of sickness for him, and it's in a Taurus house of sickness. And having the moon, which can represent the body, eclipsed is never a good thing. So Joe doesn't look like he's going to make it to the next election. That's my firm prediction. I would be shocked if he actually makes it into the running for the next election. I don't know how they're going to do this one, but anyway, I don't think they can prime. They can prime Kamala. Okay, so moving into the next part of the story, I'm just going to keep us going forward. I'm telling stories, right? I'm in a storytelling mode. We're going to see some things that Mercury is going to be connecting with as he's now 19 degrees and going backwards retrograde. So the first big thing that Mercury wants to get, accomplished here as he moves in his backward motion is he wants to talk to Hygeia, the goddess of health, hygiene, and a very active goddess during the pandemic because we all had to mask up, and that's being hygienic, right? So there's that story of Mercury trundling back, and he wants to get back to 13 degrees to talk to good old Hygeia, if you can anyway, in what's called an inconjunct. Now, this is very subtle. And the only reason I put her in here at all, okay, like I'm even thinking I should bother to put her in here, is that we're going to see her being activated by Venus. Now, Venus is going to station, meaning pause over here in Leo, to turn around and go into direct motion on September the 4th, opposite Hygeia. So there's some kind of Hygeia energizing energy, from Leo, kings and leaders around health and hygiene. Hopefully not more like let's everyone mask up or let's everybody stay indoors, because there is this variant Eris, and there's the dwarf planet Eris who moves as slow as Pluto over here until at the end of the month, July 31st, the WHO said, hey, we're going to call it Eris and we have to watch out for it. WHO. And we're going to be doing a whole video on the Eris story eventually. But at this point, just be conscious of Eris's activation. It's in the game. It's in the play. And later on, Mars will come opposite Eris with Asteroid America in the month of October, which will be like, what the hell is going on with that variant, etc. Now, before we get to that, let's go back and talk about this inconjunct. Okay, so Mercury is in an uneasy relationship to Hygeia. Not an easy one, uneasy relationship around this time here, around Mercury 13 degrees of Virgo, Hygeia 12 degrees of the sign of Aquarius. So they're not having a friendly conversation, or not having any conversation. They're having like kind of slant, what do you call it? What's the word I want? Well, they're like horse blinders, but they can see each other peripherally. So there's some kind of hidden dialogue happening between Mercury and hygiene, Hygeia, etc. Just keep that in mind, because it may play out later on that we can see that things that were happening around September 6th as Mercury was going retrograde may come into the story later on when he goes into direct motion. We'll be talking about that as we go through this chart, trundling backwards and backwards. Okay, so here we are, September the 8th. Mercury is now still in his sort of strange non-conversation of something hidden about hygiene and health matters that Mercury's having this secretive dialogue with, or this offside, off the side of the, offside in a back room talk about whatever Hygeia is doing there. And we're going to keep moving forward and watch what he does. And then Mercury is just keeping on in his backward motion, as you can see. And he gets to this 8 degrees of the sign of Virgo. Now, as he's moving back, you're seeing that he's starting to slow down. Maybe you didn't notice, but he is, grinding down, slowing down, moving to a slower speed, because 8 degrees is where he's going to station to turn around. Remember that he's not always going to be retrograde. He started August 23rd. His goal is to turn around September 15th. So at this point, he's moving very slow, but coming into contact with Urania, Uraina, the asteroid that's amused for poetry, song, and dance, but also astrology and astronomy. And I've been looking at this asteroid in terms of UFO phenomena and disclosures, and seeing it seems to be very active. Mercury, information, news, Urania, astronomy. Yeah, we could have a new planet discovered. We could find out something's heading into our solar system from another planet. A fleet of ships is 6 years away from reaching us, says the Hubble telescope, or some weird shit like that. But we can definitely look for news stories to do, way more news stories to do with things to do with outer space, at the very least, if not UFO disclosures coming through our sky around September 12th. Okay. And there we see Mercury at 8 degrees, Urania at 8 degrees. Now, when Mercury stations, he's exactly conjunct Urania. Whoa, you have to pay attention. He's also conjunct the star Thuban. Thuban is about magic, aggression, greed, but poison. I'm just going to leave that word once, poison. So there's poison involved in the star Thuban. Mercury's on Thuban, or Thuban's on Mercury. They're together. We also see Pan for pandemic. Yes, this is the asteroid Pan, panic, or pandemic, or pandemonium, or the god of the forest, take your pick, the green man, but there's something going on here. So I'm going to go for pandemonium, panic, or pandemic. Mercury, news, information, Urania, aliens, outer space, that kind of thing. Okay, a lot going on here, guys, around September the 15th with the themes I've just itemized for you. And if it's about the, astronomy, or the disclosures about aliens or UFOs or panic, I mean, there's a bunch of stories about in the Peruvian forest, or was it Ecuador? Peruvian forest, there are, UFO aliens chasing their villagers, and they called in the military to help them. That just was breaking through recently. Whether it's real or memorex, I don't know, but we may see more stuff going on. And would there be a panic if someone said, oh my God, disclosure, we have a fleet of, unknown objects that are clearly not planets moving towards Earth? Yeah, there'd be panic. A lot of people would be freaking out. Who knows? I don't think that's happening yet, but it will happen eventually. So keep this in mind. Now, when it comes to pandemic, Mercury and pandemic, Mercury got news, information, pandemic measures. Don't forget, we have that sort of sideways look over at Hygeia here. What's that really about? Some kind of conversation that's secretive going on. But here, Mercury, he's definitely really close, right? Really, really close to the asteroid Pan. So it's worth noting that is within a degree. And then we end up looking on September 16th at the fact that now this direct motion Mercury is still moving very slowly because he's just turned around, is in a triple conjunction with Urania and Pan for pandemic or panic. Take your pick. Take your pick. Something's going on. Also makes me want to sing a song. Now, I did talk about the trine to Jupiter, and we're going to get to that, so I promise. But when we were in the retrograde motion, and we are on September the 4th, I'm going to go back. So don't want to make you busy, but we're going back to September the 4th. Right here. On September the 4th, Mercury is at 15 degrees, Jupiter is at 15 degrees. To remind you, on September 26th, they'll talk again at 26 degrees. At a practical level, we don't have pandemic, pandemonium involved yet. All we have is UFO guy, so Urania. So we may have some news information coming from a king, solar figure, or leader figure to do with things to do with disclosures, things to do with AIPs, maybe not. And Jupiter, truth, knowledge, and wisdom, but also courts and legal matters and legislatures, like the panels that are inquiring in the United States into the whole, what do you call those things? Congressional panels into the whole disclosure. Maybe they're going to release a report. Maybe there's going to be a breakthrough of news around September 4th around what's really going on. So now we're going to go back to the future. I love that movie. And we're still looking at now the movement of Mercury. And then we're going to go blasting through past his triple conjunction with Urania and Pandemic and watch what he's up to next. Okay, just bear with me because here comes a couple of interesting stories. Remember I told you that he refrains on September 23rd from having a conversation with Uranus? Well, he's not refraining forever. So watch what happens here as he comes into contact first with Jupiter, and then he's going to come into contact Mercury right here. Eventually he's going to come into contact as we move forward in time into the future with everybody he needs to talk to. And think of him as like Mr. Gossipy news guy as well. He's always chatting with people and getting the latest scoop and finding out what's really going on. So it is on September the 25th, and I'm way past it. I apologize. September the 25th, that we get that Mercury direct motion Jupiter story. At the same time, by the way, Jupiter is already stationed retrograde and is now in retrograde motion. But I'm not going to make it too complicated. It's still the third part of another story. And as we move forward, Mercury also continues on. He's trundling along continually with Pan for Pandemic, perhaps. He's still connecting to that particular asteroid. Here we see him conjunct Pandemic. We saw that earlier. Here he is again on the 29th, or Pandemonium, I don't know which, or Panic. But here we have him on the 29th with that asteroid. But also, he's just about to not refrain from talking to Uranus. He's actually now having that conversation. So you can see, basically, I'm saying on the September 29th through to September 30th, he has fulfilled his conversational duties with Uranus. Simply said, news stories that are shocking but positive and needed, trine, are breaking into the news cycle. It's so darn simple to me. What is the exact information that's breaking through? We've had a lot of leaky, slow but sure world news coming through about, disclosures around the vaccines, Pfizer and government bodies, maybe pushing agendas that weren't scientifically true. Some discussions about vaccine sequelae or challenges, greater damages for some people from the vaccines that were known, especially with the VAERS system or the yellow card system in England being reporting a fraction of what actually happened. So those kinds of stories may be really cracking wide open into the mainstream, away from the sort of non-mainstream rumble type places, something like that, happening around September 30th for sure. But when we go back to the fact that Urania is still hanging here, there definitely could be some kind of alien UFO disclosure story happening. And I don't know, more of that could cause a little bit of freaky panic for the collective. And then we also can see that we're moving past that Uranus story into something interesting. Pluto and Neptune. Neptune is a god or planet that has been connected with illnesses like cholera and pandemics too. Usually because Neptune is small things you can't really see that are foggy, diffuse, and nebulous, but like a virus, but also waterborne illnesses like cholera have been Neptune stories. And you can see that Neptune and polio, of course, Neptune and Mercury are going to have a conversation. Now that's important because Mercury and Neptune having a conversation at this point, when it's the very last time that Mercury gets to talk to Pluto in a trine, right? This coming up as a 1-2 punch, because Pluto will not be in Capricorn for another 250 years after this, is a really important narrative to me. It looks like October 2nd, October 1st, 2nd, there's going to be news, information about things that were misperceptions, delusions, illusions, misinformation, manipulation coming through. We still see Pan here for Pandemic. And we're going to look at this, that Mercury is coming into that at the same time, 2nd and 3rd, a trine to Pluto power, Pluto wealth. Pluto in Capricorn is very much connected to this pandemic, okay? Pluto and the pandemic story had a signature that was very interesting. And it was when Pluto came together with Saturn in 2020. I think it was January 2020. And a lot of astrologers did predict that could lead to a pandemic or a plague or some global illness or something big like the Black Plague, because this is the kind of signature it was. And so Pluto's getting ready to leave Capricorn. He's retrograding at 27. He's going to scoot out of there in January. He makes a cameo appearance in the fall of 24, but he's mostly done in the sign of Capricorn. So look for something here, like a news story breaking through, basically, to do with a big disclosure, a big upset, a big, people in power who are in control, top-down power authorities, Pluto in Capricorn. Anytime you see Mercury, you can also talk about stock markets. I should have mentioned that. You can also parse that as things to do with the stock market. This Virgo territory in the United States is also the United States House of Rulers, like the president, basically the king. And so there's a lot of that thought I have that may have us looking at a lot of information, news coming from people in power in the United States. Again, we'll see what happens. All right, now we're going to do the all signs, and we're going to move through that in a bit of a clip. And wow, the sun just came out and I'm like blindingly bright here. Please don't forget, if you're new to my channel, to like and subscribe. If you're watching in the live premiere, I forgot to ask you guys to hit the like button and help my channel grow. My goal is to reach an unbelievable 100,000 by the end of the year. At this rate, I will probably reach 70,000, but if I could really ramp it up, it would be so much fun. So help me do that if you're in the mood by sharing my videos, liking, subscribing. I respond to my comments. I read them all, guys. So I'm an engaged astrologer, and I'm in the live premieres because I chat with you about what's happening. I'm trying to make community happen on YouTube with this platform, this real community, the real connecting to you to me as best we can in a broadcast delivery format. So if you like an astrologer who reads your comments, that's me. I always hate when you leave the comments below and then the astrologer or the person never even hearts or likes or reads or looks at them. I'm like, well, then why ask for feedback if you don't respond to the feedback people give you? So I don't have an assistant doing that stuff. I do it myself. Okay, so we're going to do all signs. And I'm just going to give you a very simple delineation. I don't know if I'm even going to run through the chart this time. I just want to tell you, what does it mean when you have, it's so simple. I'm not spending an hour on this, but what does it mean when you have August 10th, September 4th, September 25th, Jupiter, Mercury, good news, good information, good commerce, prosperous communication, good ideas, blessed Jupiter luck around communication, ideas, games of chance. Some of you could have lottery wins off of this. We're going to go through each sign. I'm going to give you the idea of September 4th being the midpoint of a 3-part story that starts August 10th, September 4th, September 25th, the 3 times that Mercury trines Jupiter as he moves through the sign of Virgo in an elemental Earth year, reminding you that you Earth signs, Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn, rising especially, are getting a lot of weight from this year, and especially, of course, the Virgo house. So this is about that Virgo house, right? Okay, should I go ahead and use the scrolling picture or not? I don't know if I'm in the mood. It always gets me down rabbit holes when I do that with you guys. I end up like spending a lot of time when I'm looking at the chart, and I don't know, I'm just pondering. I think I'm just going to give you, this is going to be like nice and light, nice and easy, really sweet, quite a lot of fun. So I'm giving you something positive. This is actually a really good Mercury retrograde for us as individuals. I promise you, you will thank me that we're talking about this. Jupiter and Mercury together, they got along in mythology. I mean, they weren't the best of friends, but they worked together. Okay, let's go through the story. We're going to start with Aries, and then we're going to move through each sign. And I'm just going to tell you what I'm going to say. I'm not going to rotate the dial this time. There are timestamps and there are chapters, and you can use the timestamps and chapters to get this done. Or, well, I'll make it easy for my sister. We're going to rotate the dial. Sorry, it makes it easier for my time-stamping sister. If you come into the live premiere, guys, and you go, well, where are we now? Just look to the sign on the 9 o'clock position. That is the rising sign, and we'll be talking about that as we go through. Let me change the settings of the house settings so I can rotate the chart, edit the chart. Give me a sec. I'm not going to start the video over. We want to go to whole sign houses. That's just so I can move the chart forward. Whole sign. Okay. All right. Perfect. I'm near the end of the story, as you can see, and I'm going to focus on the Jupiter narrative. So let me get back to Jupiter around here. So that's the September 25th. Jupiter is in direct motion, and the retrograde one is September the 4th. So we'll talk about that one. There we go. September 4th. Remember, try to connect August 10th, September 4th, and later September 25th. That would maybe help you understand what's happening. All right, and let's start with Aries. Give me a minute. So Aries, sun, moon, and rising sign. So you're having Mercury do his elemental earth here in your natal sixth house. Your sixth house has to do with work and health issues, and also pets and sometimes rental properties and debt and karmic and real. This part of your chart is kind of like the job, the workspace, the co-workers, the helpers, the assistants, the employees, or if you're an employer, your employees. Okay, so in this space, Mercury has been traveling forever, July 28th to October 4th. And now during the retrograde, he's going to make a midpoint touchdown on September 4th with Jupiter. Now it's September 4th, 5th, okay, kind of vibe. You feel like, let's go September 4th, 2 days before and 2 days after. Mercury is saying something like, what opportunity is coming for you to do with work and money that expands your prosperity, your earnings, and your resources in a significant and lasting way. And it also helps you break away from rules and structures and ways of doing things, rote autopilot that may have got you stuck, Albion, because you're looking to do things in inventive and original new ways, especially around creating money, being prosperous, and resourcing yourself financially quite significantly well. And we can also say at the same time that with Athena here, you're using information and knowledge to figure out just how. You may be learning, reading a book, taking a course, doing some professional education even in order to attain this. I do like that on September 4th, Athena herself is coming into that trine to Pluto in the 10th house of your career, giving you power and status and wealth through some educational or learning or knowledge and wisdom type of process. If it is about your health, it's about watching the kinds of food you eat. Jupiter here can have you, he's retrograde now, rethink, go back over the types of things you put in your mouth, substances, wine, cigarettes, or even just pulling back from that, as well as just food styles, dietary styles. You've been on autopilot doing things rote. Now you're reassessing. Now you're going back, and this could improve your health. Mercury here is giving you the news and information, the ideas in order to do that in a significant way. On September 25th, he touches down on the same narrative. So don't forget, you've been working this theme of work and health, maybe pets, maybe rental situations, August 10th, 4th, and we'll finish on the 25th. All right, Taurus, sun, moon, and rising sign. This is the energy of the Mercury retrograde happening August the 23rd, this is what happens when you're me, to September the 15th, and this is happening in your fifth house. Now, Mercury has been in your fifth house of children and romance and entrepreneurship and creativity. He's been here now since, July 28th and leaves October 4th. So there's a lot of intensity in this elemental earth year for you to focus on themes of the fifth house. Now, fertility and pregnancy are here. And if you want to be pregnant, Mercury can give you the good news that you are. Keep that in mind with Jupiter in the first house for some Taurus rising, especially if you're the female or the one who bears children, can be a pregnancy situation, a fertility situation over the next, until the third week of May next year. You could get pregnant, especially the rising sign, maybe less so the sun, okay, and moon. And so consider that as a possibility that this could be some kind of connection to fertility themes coming through August 10th, September 4th, and September 25th, as Mercury continually touches down with Jupiter. Good news, I'm pregnant. Good news, I'm not pregnant. Good news, I might be pregnant. Good news, I'm getting pregnant. You can birth babies here. You can birth books. You can birth businesses. You can birth many things. It's a creative gestational womb of the chart. So with Mercury retrograde, you might go back over a creative project that you used to be doing, that you were involved in, or a business idea or entrepreneurial idea that you've abandoned. You go back to it. You're reassessing it. You're rethinking it. Children, These are your children. Especially if they're adults now, they may be coming back to communicate with you, but certainly also Mercury retrograde in the 5th house of your romantic life can bring a lover or a former love partner out of the woodwork by email, phone calls, or text during the retrograde cycle itself. All right. So between the 23rd of August and September 14th, you may be hearing from long lost children and long lost lovers. And I would also point out that because you have at the very end of that Mercury opposite Neptune moment, you could be also coming out of an illusion or a fog about a situation in a romance, and you're going to clear your head and shake it out and have some kind of information that allows you to dispel any rose-colored glasses that you may have been donning when it came to any romances that were activating in this part of your sky in recent times. Now, anything else I want to say to you? No, we like to get through this as a really sort of fun and pithy video. By the way, you're lucky, all right? Until the 3rd week of May next year, Jupiter in the house of you make your luck. You are lucky. You are magnanimous, larger than life, and quite bountiful. So get ready to experience a lucky year until the 3rd week of May next year. Okay. I'm going to take a quick pause. No, I'm not. I'm going to keep on going. Don't forget, if you're in the live premiere and you haven't hit my like button, why not? It helps the channel grow, and it really, really, really makes me want to do videos. When I get traction on my videos, I am enthused and inspired. So thanks for helping everyone by just punching the like button. Let's move into the Gemini, Sun, Moon, and Rising people. If you are a Gemini and you're looking at this elemental Earth year of Mercury, July 28th to October 4th, moving through your 4th house of property, home, and real estate, this is a lot of stuff going on at home. This is your private life. This is your domestic life. This is your everyday, I'm at home alone or with my partner or with my family life. It's your hearth, you know? Mercury here, it means you're either busy writing, communicating, messaging, thinking, or ideating at home. But you also may be buying, selling home, marketing, merchandising belong here, or a lot of communications going on for you Geminis around your home, like maybe getting ready to move or sell or list a property or buy one. I kind of feel like that, you know, this Jupiter thing makes it very lucky for you, very bounteous around the idea of getting something bought or sold. Because with Pluto in the 8th house of banks and mortgages, right? And coming into that trine to Athena, and of course, at the end of this all around the 2nd of October with Mercury, you can secure an incredible sale. You could purchase a house, sell a house, buy a house. It all looks really auspicious for you. Or clear a debt, you know, that you have because you sell a property. Or make money in the stock market and then be able to buy a property, things like that. Because also though Jupiter is supporting things from the 12th house, for some of you Geminis, this can involve foreigners or foreign countries. And some of you may be moving to a foreign land or looking at property in a foreign land, even if it's just recreational. Jupiter in the 12th house, it helps you generate revenue from foreign shores as well. If that's a part of the world you're in where you have clients or partners or an audience in other countries, this is a very auspicious trine for glowing up your money, your 12, 8, 4th house energies in a very big way. During this cycle of the retrograde, yes, because you're deepening something, you're going into it deeper, you're going back to do a thing like sell the house again, put it back on the market, rewrite the contract for something, whatever. You're going back and doing something again, but you're also potentially making some very good commercial decisions for your life as you rethink things. And on September 25th, of course, Mercury will go direct and contact Jupiter, and then it's game on. So this is a very auspicious story around property and home and real estate and money. Or messages, communicating in and from your home that has a lot of auspiciousness to it. All right, Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising sign. What you have happening in the sky is you have the sign Mercury Mercury on July 28th, October 4th is going through the sign of Virgo. And as he goes through the sign of Virgo, he will retrograde in the middle of all of that, August the 23rd to September 15th, which is the point of this video. He's doing the retrograde in your 3rd house, and your 3rd house is siblings, cousins maybe, short trips, and skills-based learning. You could be teaching or you could be learning. It's also your online world, like your website, your platform, your blog, all that stuff. You may find that this house is going to bring you some news or information from a sibling or from a cousin that's going to be, unexpected, maybe because of the connection with Uranus. Don't forget, we have a refrainment around the 23rd. It's as if some information from a sibling, younger especially, or from a cousin, or news about a trip is trying to happen around the 23rd of August, but you don't get real momentum or clarity until the real connection happens with Uranus much later in the narrative, okay, around September 30th. This is really good, though, for travel. If you go to a place you've been before, I know everyone says, don't travel when Mercury's retrograde, but he's retrograde. He means to go back over old ground. So if there's a place that you have traveled before in your life, and you want to take that trip again, go for it. It looks like an all systems go if you've been there before. You also have Athena here, and she's just sort of saying, like, using strategic wisdom and knowledge, make these travel plans happen, potentially. Jupiter is offering luck from the house of the elder sibling. This is also friends who benefit you and greater gains from your career path. Certainly trips and learning and siblings can have a big impact on your career gains right now. Again, August the 10th is the beginning of that narrative, September 4th, and then September 26th. I'll use my sister Nancy, Cancer rising, as an example. I'm going to be promoting her healing business, healingwithnancylyn.com, because she's brilliant and a miracle worker. I'm going to give her a promotional boost in September on my newsletter and other ways. And that's exactly what we're looking at September 4th, because I've done it before. So sibling boosts your business and you have greater gains from your healing career. So look for those assists here, assists from people in power, allies, friends who can benefit you. Also, by travel or going to have fun in the local neighborhood with your larger groups of friends, you're going to experience a lot of goodness in your life around September 4th. And this is true also of September 25th. Don't be a homebody then. All right. I'm going to take just a quick break to get some water, and I'll be back. If you're watching the live premiere, hit the like button, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, help my channel grow. I appreciate it. A lot of you know, in a couple of videos back, I told you I was coming down with COVID. I thought I was. My partner had COVID, and I was with him 8 days straight, same bedroom and everything. We're traveling together. And I had one test that was like a little pink bar, and I felt like really shitty that day. And the next day I tested negative, and I did a self-healing. I got healing energies going from other people and you guys as well. And my bar was negative, and then it's been negative ever since. So I don't know what to say. I had COVID in September last year. I didn't have much, but a bad headache and a fever for 3 or 4 days. But yeah, and I know I'm not vaccinated. And so I just breezed through this one. I mean, I literally was a person like full on COVID, really strong bars of COVID, fever, snotty, whatever. He's going to hate that I'm telling you guys this, the works. And I don't think I got it. My antibodies from last September plus the power of healing. So I'm sorry, I doth digress. This is what we call a commercial break for Lori's COVID story. I'm going to pause and get some water. I'll be right back. Whew, okay, let's get going. I got my water, my water with vitamin C powder. Okay, let's go. Back to the story, guys. And don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, share, please. Thank you. Here we go. Leo, sun, moon, and rising. You can see that in your narrative here, you've got this energy going on of Mercury, elemental earth here, lighting up your second house of money, earnings, resources, and possessions. Wow. This can definitely look like a year in which you're figuring out how to be a better commercial person, making money, marketing and selling, or maybe spending, but mostly he likes to make money when he's in the second house, or make deals to make money, or negotiate contracts to make money, or give you things to sell to make money. And he's been here now ever since July 28th, October the 4th, he will be there. And that little retrogradation on August the 23rd to September 15th looks a lot like going back over old ground. What kind of things have you done in the past to make money? Do you want to try them again? What kind of projects and money-making endeavors are on the go? And are you going to go back and redo them or revise them? Also, you may go back and rethink something, like a new idea, or rethink an idea that you were going to launch or put out there. If you're employed and you have an employer, well, this is very auspicious. In this August 10th, September 4th, September 25th cycle with Jupiter, like the boss in the 10th house, loving up this Mercury 3 times, right? This is about raises, promotions, elevations, good news, new jobs, great new jobs, lucky new jobs. If you're self-employed, then it's still good. Jupiter up here is expanding your reputation, expanding your career success, making you more successful. And that's true till like the 3rd week of May, 2024. So just love the ride of Jupiter in your 10th. Now you can see that Jupiter and Mercury, right? This is September 5th, but I did have it set for the 4th, are both in retrogradation here. I mean, Jupiter stations retrograde on the 4th. On the 4th, he's direct, but he's going to turn around. There's this energy of everything having to deepen, to go back in, to figure out something to do with how to expand your career. Almost think about it like by pulling back and going inward or rethinking or redoing or renegotiating, you can go forward. On a practical note, this could be like you applied for a job, never heard from anybody, and they suddenly get back to you and say, wait, we want you, or come in for the interview. So there can be a job opportunity from the past just returning to you, basically. People say don't do X, Y when Mercury's retrograde. Well, certainly be careful with purchases here. Mercury retrograde in the house of possessions means you might purchase a dud laptop or, a lemon car or something. So be careful not to purchase things without a lot of, inspection and caution about the fine print, because Mercury is in dignity. It's in his own kingdom, right? But that retrogradation is a little dicey, and he's deeply invisible. There's going to be a Mercury Cazimi this month. That's a whole separate video in September. But, be careful around purchases. Excuse me, guys, a little snotty. And there you go. Moving on. Well, one more thing. I mean, with that reformation, things around August 23rd to do with career, sudden exciting career and money breakthroughs, look for the fullness of that around October 2nd, where you're going to go, whoa, that's what that's about. I'm so excited. A fulfillment of a promise that doesn't quite happen or wants to happen but doesn't make it all the way through, around the 3rd week of August, can fully form into a fruitful outcome, exciting outcome, money and career-wise, around October the 2nd. So Virgo, this is your sign, right? You are the one. You are the star of the show. Elemental Earth here. This is Mercury in your sign for a dog's age, July 28th to October the 4th. And this is his retrograde, August 23rd to September 15th. Mercury retrograding is having you go back and think things over, rethink things, change your mind on things that you have been dealing with in your 9th house. That is educational, academic, father figures, foreigners, foreign countries, court and legal matters, and what you believe in about life, the meaning of life. So, for example, to be very practical, I have a girlfriend. She's a Virgo rising. She's going to go traveling to foreign countries. That's the plan in September because I'm watching her dog. Well, maybe not. A lot of Milo, right? You've seen him in my videos. Well, maybe she's going to rethink a plan. Maybe she's going to change her travel plans. Maybe she's going to move to take no trip at all. I wouldn't even be surprised if she cancels her trip, because I can also see that she's got, like anyone who's a Virgo, Hygeia, hygiene in the house of pets. Sick pet has health challenges. Also, Hygeia here, of course, could be about your own personal health and hygiene and getting better health measures in place. But this idea of Mercury retrograding in the house of you, it's your ideas, your mind, your messages, your communications that you are generating that are here. You have the power. And Mercury retrograding in the house of you has you rethink things. You change your mind on things. Okay. Jupiter is, of course, in neutral dignity in the 9th house, but this can look very much like a court matter or a father figure matter, sometimes a leaderful father figure matter that you're having to deal with. And maybe with that Asteroid Albion, where things have always gone in a rote manner, like, where, autopilot, following the rules without questioning them, that kind of thing. That's could be, have you followed a bunch of rules without questioning them from a legal court situation, from a father figure, from a patriarchal figure, but more importantly, from a religious figure, because Jupiter here is like guru, preacher, pastor. So some Virgos can rethink their religious or spiritual philosophy or the way it's come on from down on high. Jupiter will retrograde anyway on the 5th. He is retrograding on the 5th after turning around on the 4th. And therefore, you may also go back to a spiritual path you've done before. You thought you'd toss out Christianity, Sufism, Kabbalah, and it's not for me anymore. And all of a sudden you go, I want to go back. I think I want to go back to that. Lastly, teachers. You may have a teacher that you've had in the past and you go back to them. Academia, go back to a course, study a course you've done before, rethink the course selection you've made. These kinds of things are possible, especially for people going back to school. It is the fall, and making some unexpected changes in the direction of your studies. Okay, Libra, sun, moon, and rising. What happens when you have Mercury in your 12th house is you have dreams. I hope you have dreams. Please get a dream journal. He's a dream messenger. He's a psychopath. This is a very unconscious house where dreams and meditations can happen, and insights that are from your deep unconscious or the Akashic records. So what could happen here is that you're going to find this is a very soulful time of the retrograde from August the 23rd to September 15th. But keep in mind, July 28th to October 4th, Mercury's in that part of your chart. So you should always be paying attention to your dreams. But foreigners, foreign countries, foreign shores, and all that are also revenue from foreign shores belong to the 12th house. And you may be going back and hearing from, connecting to a foreigner connected often to revenue, but also maybe to travel. If you want to travel to a foreign country you've been to before, and it is in the retrograde cycle of August the 23rd to September 15th, go for it. It will be fine. And he is a protector of travelers anyway, and he's in his own dignity. You may rethink a travel plan. You may have planned to go to a foreign shore from your natal country, and now you're rethinking it during the retrograde. I love this Jupiter 3-part August 10th, September 4th, September 25th narrative. Around September 4th, we see that Mercury is going to come into a trine to Jupiter in the 8th house of chunky money, with Pluto in the 4th house, of course, of property, home, and real estate. Some of you are rethinking something to do with a property, maybe a property in a foreign land, maybe just a property in general. Maybe you're going to sell or buy a property. If you want to do that, Jupiter blesses you with good outcomes in your chunky money, good sale price, good mortgage deal, whatever. But everybody's retrograding. Jupiter's retrograding, Mercury's retrograding, Pluto's retrograding. These are things you've been thinking about before. These are not brand new. These are ideas about property, home, real estate, maybe stock investments that you've been going through before. So you're going back over old ground. And sometimes with Mercury in the 12th house and, Jupiter, Uranus in the 8th, there could be secrets revealed and spilled from your family of origin, forbidden topics and taboo topics, especially around sexuality, shame topics, or abuse. Now, I'm not getting too heavy here, but some of you may have some big reveals here. Or reveals around forbidden topics, to do with secrets, especially around sexuality. And that could happen around September the 4th. Scorpio rising, especially sun and moon secondarily. This is Mercury. Mercury is the messenger, the commerce guy in your 11th house. Mercury likes to socialize. He's in his own dignity. He loves to go out and have good social time. And the 11th house is very social. It can be your large groups of belonging. I belong to the society of, harp spinners or whatever. I belong to the society of bagpipe players. Groups you belong to, that you choose to belong to, are also larger social friendships, groups and networks. Your friends are up here. And so Mercury wants you to have fun. And he's been probably pushing more of you to be more social from July 28th to October the 4th. But also information, news, and conversations with friends and hearing from friends is up here. Retrograde Mercury means hearing from friends or seeing friends you haven't heard from or seen in a long time. So on the 23rd of August to September 4th, expect to see friends that you haven't seen. My son's a Scorpio rising. One of his really good buddies is going to be in town during that window of time, a high school friend he hasn't seen in a long time. So this stuff is very literal. And also you may find that you have some kind of commercial success in like kind of a splashy way. Sun up here, Mercury up here, especially like Cazimi coming up later on. This could look like a huge boost of success if you want to consider you have some kind of idea, some kind of message you want to deliver, and you want to be powerfully received in like kind of a micro celebrity way, especially if it involves words. Mercury is a wordsmith. In Virgo, he's a writer. This could be a song. You could be your songwriting abilities are soaring to new heights. Your just plain old writing abilities are soaring to new heights, and you're getting some kind of exposure, publicity, or success that can allow for greater gains from your career itself, your Leo 10th house. With Venus up there anyway in your 10th house all the way through to October the 5th. I didn't draw her in. It's all systems go. This is a time of elevated success in your career. During the retrograde, lastly, there's that Jupiter trine from the 7th. This can be a really lovely thing to do with opportunities and favors from friends from the past that expand your audience, marketplace, outreach, that expand your relationship. What a great time, Jupiter in your 7th for the next year until the 3rd week of May next year for weddings, marriages, expanding, meeting the person of your dreams, elevating the relationship. But also your partner is going to get elevation from Jupiter in your 7th house. They're going to have more luck and success. And so don't forget, Mercury refrains from talking to Uranus, and he's almost going to have a conversation on the 23rd of August, but then later around the September 30th, he has that conversation. Look for some exciting developments with your spouse or in their lives, your main partner, even if you're not married, okay? Business contracts, deals, and negotiations are very viable. If you had something fall apart, like a business deal, contract, or negotiation, and didn't really start August 10th, nothing happened. September 4th is returning to you maybe, and things look really good for signing contracts on the dotted line. Yes, Mercury's retrograde. Just get someone to read the fine print. Jupiter's retrograde. Opportunity from the past returns to you around legal matters that involve contractual vows and agreements during the retrograde itself. Sagittarius, sun, moon, rising sign, especially rising sign. Well, what happens here is simple, okay? You're going to have this energy of, you're going to have this energy here. Oh, I mean, just pause. My daughter just sent me a text message. Sorry, Sag, I don't mean to be. Oh, by the way, are you in the live premiere? Hit the like button, subscribe. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you know when I put out one of my 20 to 30 videos per month, and you'll never miss anything that I'm up to, including all kinds of giveaway contests I'll be having soon when I hit 40,000 subs. Okay. So thank you for being here, everyone, in my live premiere. If you are with me today, all my faves, Feral Writer, etc. I think she's a Cancer rising, which is really good for her publication stuff. Purple Table Tarot, Stephen the Jupiterian, etc. Let's go ahead. Sagittarius, sun, moon, and rising sign. Well, number one, you have a little bit of fun this month because Jupiter's your Lord, and he's the one making a lot of contact with that Mercury. So this is very positive for you. You get like sidewinded goodness. Mercury started July 28th to October 4th, moving through your career house and reputation space. And people would see you then as being very busy, active, communicating, messaging, negotiating, deal making in that part of your sky. As he goes retrograde, Mercury can bring career opportunities from the past back to you, colleagues and coworkers from the past by email, phone calls, making contact with you again. This is retrograde. Of course, it's between the 23rd of August and September 15th. Now, you could go back to an old job. Sometimes I see this often looking like you decide to go apply to a job that you've had before, or your old boss or former colleagues reach out and want to rehire you and are trying to lure you back, especially with the sun up there, which can represent bosses and leaders in former employment structures. And you do see that Jupiter, your Lord, the boss of you, is in your 6th house of work and work routines, but the workspace, the colleague space, the place of employment even. And even if you're self-employed, this is your workspace, your 6th house. So you're going to have some breakthroughs there. Big energy going on around opportunities for work and career expansion and growth. But because this is also hooking into a retrograde, so, it could be about things from the past finally showing their face, or you revising a career direction or goal during the retrograde. But you were thinking about this already in August, right? The August 10th Mercury Jupiter trine, and you'll complete finalize this conundrum by September 25th as that trine happens. Mercury refraining from a big surprise with Jupiter, with a Uranus in the third week of August, but fulfilling the promise around September 30th means you could have some exciting and surprising breakthrough at the end of this whole thing, to do with pets, tendencies, but also work and career, opportunities, jobs, and expansion. Okay. Capricorn, sun, moon, and rising sign. Well, July 28th, October 4th, Mercury moving through your ninth house can put you in a place where you wanted to travel and perhaps did even move to a foreign land. Travel, big energies around foreign countries and foreign lands in play big time. And as that's been going on, you now have a retrograde. Now you could change your mind. I mean, it could be anything. We're planning a trip or are on a trip and you want to pull the plug, change your mind, change direction about some travel plans, August 23rd to September 25th. Visas can be stalled and halted. Legal matters to do with foreign countries or foreigners can have some kind of jig or problem, and you have to go back and revise something during this retrograde. You may also find that if you're into academic setting or a book publishing setting, first of all, Mercury up here is great for any caps looking to publish a book. And you might find the perfect publisher, agent, editor, etc., July 28th to October 4th. But the retrograde is to go backward over some ground that you've already traveled in this question mark of publishers or academics. You want to go to school, take a course, go to university, and you're getting to go back and have to redo paperwork or rethink your application, or reapply or something like that. There's a lot of positivity though from Jupiter, and Jupiter basically is luck. He's prosperity. He's Santa Claus, and he isn't a gaming house like lottery, casinos, games of chance, winning money, speculative money gains. So this is not so bad for you if you want to think about possibly harnessing Mercury, the Lord of chance and games of chance, and Jupiter. But this is almost like you find the old lottery ticket under your bed that was a winner and you pull it out and it's a winner, but you forgot it was there. If any retrograde stories look like that. Now, lovers and entrepreneurship and children. Good things happening with your children. This can look like grandchildren. It look like pregnancy with one of your children and grandchildren, news of a grandchild. I talked about this in another video. This can also look like good news or good things happening in your romantic life, but you may go back. So could you go back to a former romantic partner from a foreign country? Could a foreigner who's romantically interested in you send you a message and say, hey, I think you're hot? If you're single, it could look like romance with someone on a trip, foreign land, foreign shore, academic setting. But if you're looking for love, Mercury retrograde can bring that person to you, but the retrograde might imply that you've known each other before, but maybe known of each other if this romance starts during a Mercury retrograde. Don't forget, on September the 25th, Mercury will also touch down with all the stories I just told you. And therefore, you might find that the final say is around the end of September. And then Mercury wants to talk to Uranus around the 23rd of September, can't get any convo going, but manages to pull it off around October the 1st or September the 30th, around there. And that can bring you exciting surprises to do with fertility, children, entrepreneurship, creativity, creative projects. For anyone of you Capricorns who are writing a book, have a book ready to go, I like this a lot. This can look like exciting news that your book is accepted by your favorite publisher or the best agent ever is taking you on. And that will be more likely to happen at the end of September. Oh, I'm one of you, Aquarius, sun, moon, rising sign. So in this story, you're really looking at this Mercury beginning on July my daughter with I'll just say client. You're looking at this story of Mercury moving through your 8th house to chunky money. And like 2016 was the last time this kind of intensity happened here. And Mercury in the 8th house is like shared resources with others. The banks, the mortgages, the investments in the market, money with your spouse, alimony, spousal support can be here. So there's this kind of shared resources money, chunky money that Mercury's really been diving into on July the 28th to October 4th. Then he goes retrograde, right? August 23rd to September 15th. Let's go back over some old ground. Taxes belong here, tax strategies, seeing your your tax advisor, rethinking your tax strategies, rethinking your debt and debt strategies, maybe wanting to change your debt structures, refinance something even. Because there's real estate involved with Jupiter, this is often for some of us Aquarians likely to be a long story to do with selling a property, buying a property, having some financial gain that allows you to purchase a property. See, Jupiter's expanding your fourth house of home, property, and real estate, especially if you're floating ICs in the fourth house. It definitely looks like more of that energy. So you have this expansion in your home. It could be a bigger home. It could be more prosperous and bountiful from home. It could be you being like the king of the kingdom of your home. And here Mercury is in the eighth house says, can I get you some money? How can I get you some money? I like to do money. I'm a commerce god. He says, I'm a marketing and mercantile god. One way he can make money up there is he can give you passive income, royalty income, or sale of product while you're sleeping income, that kind of commission income as well. So you're looking at money stories. I don't know that the retrograde is where the money shows up, but maybe a revision, a rethinking, a deepening of something, going back to an idea that you had about money and how you can generate money. With Pluto on the house of the foreign lands and revenue from foreigners, there's something there about, is there a strategy you could have to make money from foreign countries or generate money from foreign lands? Okay, so inheritances come out of the eighth house. If there was an inheritance that was due you and it never came, or lost monies from others, Mercury retrograde can bring those monies to you. Also, he can bring secrets retrograding here that you didn't know, that you should have known, especially about your family of origin. And they may be a bit shocking, but they're important for you to know, and they can help you thrive at the end of the day. I mean, Aquarius, we got Saturn in our house of us. I mean, until 2026, this is going to make us very responsible and fiscally conservative, but also very much in generating new structures for long-term wealth. So Mercury has a little bit to say about that, because when he's here for this long, July 28th, October 4th, that's what's going on. You're looking at how to generate longer-term, chunky treasure chest monies. Back in 2016, when he spent a long time here around the same time of year, and I'm trying to remember what I was doing, I was beginning to set up my online business. I wasn't at that time astrology. I was doing other things, teaching classes in synchronicity and magic and awakening. So it's kind of like where I am now is because of what I started in 2016, including taking B School, Marie Folio, and a bunch of other online classes in online world. So some of you think about this as laying some new groundwork here, because Mercury is dialoguing with Saturn, not directly, but in a whole sign house way. Lastly, forbidden topics can be eighth house and secrets, as I said. With the Mercury retrograde talking to Jupiter in the fourth, you might be looking at stories about your mom, or definitely stories from your childhood that had never been disclosed. I think that shocking energy around September 30th with Uranus trining Mercury in the eighth can definitely reveal some deep, dark family secret that shocks you, but you're glad that you know it, and it really helps you reframe some things in your life in a positive manner. First, and mostly first, and best and always best, the amazing fishes of the world, the Pisceans, the mystic poets of our zodiac. We need them, guys. They are going through a lot. They have had Neptune in the house of them since 2011, and they've been like really going through the mystical stuff and very much addictions and delusions and illusions, and they're doing it for the collective. So cheer our Pisces on. Some of them are getting enlightened, some of them are getting addicted, some of them are getting delusioned, some of them are really opening to the mystical portals of reality. And Saturn is helping stabilize you guys, right? Saturn's coming through to hold fort and give you some ground to stand on over the next 3 years, and to make those dreams and visions real. And as I just backdropped you, I will remind you that Mercury has not spent like 2 whole months in your seventh house since 2016, and that's your marriage house, and sometimes business partnerships, sometimes audience and marketplace. What was going on back in 2016 that was resetting there in a deep way during that Earth year? This time, July 28th, October 4th is when Mercury is in your seventh house. Now, a lot of you could be communicating, talking, messaging, texting with your main squeeze for some reason. Or you may be doing some negotiations and contracts and legal agreements that involve your business and love partner, as Mercury is helping you negotiate things from your seventh house. For example, my Pisces rising sister and her husband are negotiating the purchase of a property that belonged to the parents who have passed with the siblings that belong to the spouse. Classic Mercury in the 7th house, legal negotiations, agreements are being forged. If you have Mercury in the 7th house and you're single, then this could be hearing from retrograde, August 23rd to September the 15th, hearing from a phone call, email, text message, some former significant partner, usually not a fleeting dating partner. The 7th house would be someone you spent some significant time with, at least a year, and they're gonna come out of the past, or old spouse, former spouse coming out of the past to communicate with you. And there is a Cazimi coming here. I'll do a whole video on that, and that can be a really important energy of a reset in your primary love and significant relationship house as well. As Mercury's going retrograde, he's talking to Jupiter, who's also retrograding by the time we get to the 5th, but on the 4th, he's still direct. And Mercury is talking to Jupiter in your house of siblings. Now, this is younger siblings often, the 3rd house, but it's also just a concept of siblings. And you can see that Mercury will also be talking to Pluto in the house of elder siblings. So elder siblings in general, they're all getting involved in this retrogradation and direct motion turnaround later on. So we expect to find there's a highlight on cousins and siblings and extended family matters. You may also find travel during the retrograde. You'll travel to a place you've been before, and it's okay to do that. Don't be afraid to travel. So Mercury retrograding says, well, maybe you should travel sometime between August 23rd and September 15th to a place you've traveled to before. The 3rd house travels are usually not far off, foreign exotic shores. Okay, they're not. They're like within your country, or at least your continent. And you're trying to break away from the status quo, doing the things the same way over and over again that you've done before, with that travel, with that trip, to forge something new. The trip could be because of a partner, because of somebody you're with. Mercury is in that house of their significant other. And you could find yourself also experiencing some success online. If you have an online business website, this can really galvanize a great deal of success, because, Jupiter will be in your 3rd house of the online world until the 3rd week of May. And Mercury is communication, messages, and news and commerce with others, or marketplace. Now, the retrograde would be going back to sort of revise, rethink, and redo something, August the 23rd to September 15th. Okay. Revise the website, revise the way you talk to clients or reach out to clients. If your floating IC is in the 3rd house, you could buy or sell a home, get a new contract for a home if that's the case, because the IC with Jupiter in the 3rd house and Mercury in the 7th means deals, negotiations, and contracts, buyers and sellers making agreements together. This is very true in the retrograde if you want to buy a place that you've been trying to get before, didn't get, or some seller from the past makes another offer on the property you're trying to sell. It can help you dive in deep in anything to do with real estate matters. Now remember, this is true mostly if your floating IC is in your 3rd house using whole sign houses. And cars belong to the 3rd house, and maybe some of you are looking at negotiating a deal on a new vehicle during the retrograde, like a used car, right? Because the car has been used before. Mercury is retrograding in the deals and negotiations. Maybe there is an offer on a car that you made before. The buyer didn't want to sell at the price. Now you got a second win, second chance, something like that. But you may be looking at legally purchasing a vehicle, and that is August 23rd to September the 5th. Just make sure you get a real good inspector on that. Because of the retrograde Mercury, the details may be missed, but Mercury is in his own kingdom and it should go well. All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. I'm finished. If you're new to my channel, hit the like button, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. The day has gone on. The sun is finally out in Northern Ontario, Canada, where I'm on vacation visiting my sister. I will see you guys on the next video, which will be, I think, about probably the blue moon or Mars moving into Libra, or something like that. So stay tuned. And all my all signs videos will be coming out on the 3rd week of August, all signs for September. So get ready for that as well. Thanks for listening. I appreciate all of you in the live premiere. Don't forget to hit that like button. Please help my channel grow, subscribe. I appreciate everyone who does help me grow, and truly am grateful. Thank you.